Family members and friends of a 10-year-old boy who was allegedly killed by two teenagers in Kasoa are threatening to avenge his death if the suspects are not punished. The two, aged 18 and 16, have been remanded by a Kasoa Farco court Tuesday and are expected to reappear on April 20. Maxwell Agbagba just returned from the community where the gruesome murder occurred and has more.
Gather some meters away from the crime scene. An uncompleted building very close to the residence of one of the suspects and 100 meters away from the home of the 10-year-old boy who was killed. This uncompleted building here is the crime scene where the incident itself happened. Now, according to a charge sheet from the police, the suspects actually used concrete blocks, and that we're told they used to hit the deceased many times. We also told that they used a club, and the club which was taken from an axe is still here. So here you see the shallow grave, which is here, which was allegedly dug by the two suspects with uncle of the deceased.
My sister is staying with them here, closely to them. He has been doing better things to them. So I don't see the reason why this dirty thing should be done against my sister. So the Nicholas' father, who did the marvelous job, his younger son, junior brother to Nicholas, came and reported the case to his father by saying, I've seen my brother and his colleague doing something to Ishmael as far as this uncompleted is concerned. So the father immediately waked up. He came to the room, then he saw blood with blocks. So the father was shocked, and the boy by the name Anani and his younger brothers, they've been going to my sister, helping them, food and everything. Of course, he's very, very intelligent. Even when he was called, he was in the room going through his laptop when they came for him. And he left before they came and did this job to him. So he's very, very bad. It's very, very, very bad. So we are again appealing to the government that we'll be very happy if we will hear that they've taken the boy to maybe life imprisonment or something like that. We'll be very, very happy. But we are still doing our investigation. When I hear that they've sent the boys to maybe Abofraboni or something like that, it will pain me.
Aggrieved family members and friends of the deceased are gathered here, waiting for the body to arrive for burial. Some of them we've been speaking to here describe 10-year-old Ishmael as a very intelligent child. Many of them have been eulogizing him. I've been speaking to another uncle of Ishmael. His name is Alhassan Akeli, and he has more to say about the deceased.
Very, very intelligent. One thing about him I always remember is a big smile in his face. When you see him, as soon as you mention his name, just give you a smile. Ishmael is a cool guy. Yeah. It's very, very painful to hear this. Well, it's hard, but what will you do? It has happened already. So we just have to take it like that and see the way forward. Not at all. Not at all. Even if juveniles, just look at the acts, the crime that they committed. Even an adult. When you look way back in our days, 20 years is you dare not watch a corpse. And this kids were able to create how do I even say it? They were able to commit this gruesome murder. This is unpardonable, honestly. They are not juveniles at all. Any the account of the father of, or maybe let's say the grandfather of him, the other guy, Nicholas, he was saying the guy was born around 2002 thereabout. So per the calculation you can see he's even above 18 years. What we want is justice, nothing but justice. But looking at the recent happenings in this country, we only hope that the institutions will be on their feet and then do the right thing for us.
He's my grandmother's son. Very intelligent. He don't want any problem. He's just a free guy. The guys he was with, those who killed him, he was very free with them. I don't know the reason why they just have this kind of mind to just murder him without any reason or something. Even if you want to murder someone, it shouldn't be him. You people even eat at his house. Whatever you want, he give it to you. He have laptops and other things. You go there to play it with him. I don't know what kind of thing that came into their mind for them to do such thing. And this case, we don't want them to leave it. The only thing we want is that they should send it ahead. They shouldn't bring them out and say, oh, they've gone for 2 years or something. No. If possible, if not because they are saying they are kids, what kind of kids that will have this mental thing in their head, that this mentality? With the court issue that they are bringing, we don't want it. There is no court. It's either they should be sentenced to death as well, or they should be in life imprisonment. That's what we want. They should be in prison for life. We don't want them outside there, because if we see them, it won't be better for them.
According to police, prior to the incident, the two accused persons have for some time been watching television programs with spiritualists talking about the ability to make people wealthy. The two are said to have contacted a spiritualist in the Volta region who asked for an amount of 5,000 cedis and human body parts for the rituals. They therefore armed themselves with a clap, cement block and laid siege at an uncompleted building. They lured the boy by saying they wanted to sell him a video game. The initial plan, according to police, was to kidnap the boy and demand a ransom of 5,000 cedis. When the suspect realized this would be a difficult task, they used a club to hit the neck of the deceased and then hit his head with concrete blocks, killing him instantly. The two suspects were in court today and are expected to reappear on 20th April 2020.
Well, President Kasoa Murd3r says society as a whole needs to tackle the phenomenon of spiritualists offering get-rich-quick schemes and leading the youth astray.
And backwardness. You know. How could young people, what do they know? And unfortunately, you media people too, you are giving so much exposure to tricksters and fraudulent people, promising everything. When you look at them, you should know that these are people who really, who are themselves just bad and ignorant. And that's not the way for our society to go. So I think media, the editorship of your institutions should rise to the occasion and cut out anything that would defraud society and also make asses of the community. We need to do that. Media and of course the authorities too, if you like, social and community leadership should come up and tackle all these people who are now virtually hijacking the airwaves with vain promises and trickery. They should be earlier eradicated than even some of the diseases we're talking about.
Well, joining us via Zoom now is Seth Mausi Asafo, a clinical psychologist. Thank you very much, Mr. Asafo. Now, many of us, members of the public, have been shocked by this particular incident, but there are those who are suggesting that probably we had this coming our way, considering the kind of things we've been seeing on our television screens. Is this something you foresaw or you felt that was going to happen at some point?
Well, first of all, let me extend my condolences to the seeing anything of this nature coming. However, it's important for us to know that we all learn consciously and unconsciously every single day by the things that we see around us, and they make an impression. In fact, most of the things that we see are things that we learn unconsciously, and they're reinforced or they're emphasized by other people who are close to us talking about it or giving it some audience. In many instances in what has happened, I want to say that, yes, they are children, and we never think about a child thinking, even being able to plot so much to go ahead and carry out such an act. However, there are always motivations for different behaviors. And you want to start asking questions of what motivated these children to perform this particular act. I wish I were somebody who could just go into their heads and tell. I am not. Listening to all the communications and the information going around, it's clear that a lot of things are happening which are going unchecked because everything passes on for the media now. In fact, in my practice, one of the things that I've had to deal with very significantly is how people look at other people's lifestyles on social media and feel that they are being left out or feel that they're nothing. And of course, these kinds of things can push people to engage in behaviors that perhaps are not entirely censored. And it's not that they don't have a presence of mind, but the push is so significant that they go ahead and perform these behaviors regardless. I'm not in any way agreeing with what is happening. It is totally unacceptable and is an abominable act. But I think that society has to come together to help. In fact, our socialization as a people gradually has been skewed. When I remember when I was younger, there were lots of things that you couldn't even think about or even look at. But now it seems to be very open and everybody has access to them. And the more important thing is that we're not able to put these things in perspective. I mean, the agents of socialization largely are being hindered from doing the work that they used to do. When I was little, if you did something terrible, before your parents came home, society would have disciplined you before your parents would that in addition. And as the agents of socialization, as they continuously become hindered, we're going to see more things like this because there's nobody to put the perspective to it. If I'm seeing all these amazing things that people are doing online, driving flashy cars, and I'm not seeing any hard work they put in, it also just supposes that, well, I can also be someone like that. So obviously, some cunning person might have just pushed them, and as gullible as they are, that's what I want to use, for lack of a better word, they also fell for it, and this is what we have. And it's a very sad moment for a country.
Is there anything the parents could have done, the parents of the two teenagers could have done to have brought their boys up a lot better so that they couldn't have ended up this way?
I wish I had the whole story. I wish I knew their parents. I wish I lived in the environment. So I can't make any statements to accommodate that. But one thing I'd like to say to all parents going forward is it's always good to put things in perspective. For example, when you're watching television with your ward or they're going through social media, they are seeing things, flashy lifestyles of people, you got to make them understand that all these things were not just ends. There was some hard work that was put into it. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to some students who want to play football. And all they're saying is, so I can be like Ronaldo and have a lot of money and drive flashy cars. And I pointed out quickly to them that he put a lot of hard work into it to get there. And that's the kind of perspective we need to be creating for our little ones and even for the older ones. It almost seems that when we get frustrated, people are always looking for an avenue to cope or an easy way out. And the easy way out usually has its challenges in most cases. I can't say anything about whether the parents brought them out well, but what I can say is that as parents, we need to be very cautious of the way our children relate with other people, and we need to give them perspectives on things. As we teach the values that we're brought up with, we hope that these values are things that will be imbibed in them as they grow. In fact, it's a fact. If you keep on admonishing your ward, they grow up in that way. And I think that's something that we have to do regardless of our busy work schedules and all the other so important things that we do, neglecting all these things and relegating these kinds of things to the background. We need to sit up.
All right. Thank you very much, Seth Mausi Asafo is a clinical psychologist. Thanks very much for your thoughts.